Okay, everybody dialed in. Everybody got their stuff set up, connected. Bring your mind to the center. And allow your feet to touch. When we're doing this movement to get into Tai Chi harmony, we want to use as little effort as possible. So imagine your body like a bamboo is swaying. And that small movement can actually, if you allow your arms to be completely relaxed as if they're completely offline, that movement will contribute to the arms moving. So even though it seems like it's something very small, and then we're going to add something else. We're going to add breathing. So the inflating from the bottom of the lungs by pushing the diaphragm down. How do we know we're breathing from the bottom of the lungs? Closing the stomach, locking the abs, and then you'll feel your back has to open. So this rocking combined with breathing, combined with something else, once we get the breathing and the body structure combined, we can start to work on pressure, internal pressure. And so these are physical things that we can do. So rocking, breathing, increase the pressure so that if you have a tube and you squeeze the bottom, the top of it expands. So activate your feet, rock, breathe, increase the pressure. We only need to bring the hands just above the shoulders, right? A lot of times I say no higher than the shoulders. And the reason is because we see in yoga practice, we have this kind of connecting here and bringing down. And actually all through South Asia, there's dance. If it's not a yoga or some type of martial arts dance. So on this one, we're looking for the very minimal amount of effort that we can use, the smallest amount of chi that we can use. So when I say chi, I mean physical chi, externally, your body. Internally, if you can move the energy on its own, there's no reason to move the muscles or coordinate the breathing because you can make the chi do it on its own. So this is ultimately what we're looking to do, is replace the physical movement where we use muscle and bone with a different type of movement. You can make it larger. From here, open. Take shoulder width stance and then breathing deep as if you're scooping energy up the center and then stretching out to the sides. Imagine your body is like a straw, and the chi is like a heavy drink, like a milkshake. But you don't have to have milkshake. You can put in whatever kind of drink that you like. But in the beginning, because it's difficult to move, we have to, when you get a fresh milkshake, it's real difficult to get the liquid. So the same thing, the fresh chi, at first we may have to, like you're pulling, like you're sucking a straw, keep the tongue connected to the upper palate. And then you have to relax, and then you draw again. So closing the bottom, pulling all the way to the top, and then expanding. So the inhale, we're lifting the base of the torso, closing the abs like you're pulling, like you're drawing up on a straw. And then try to achieve the same feeling without any pressure, without any stress. So doing the same movement, the same activity, the same internal work, but completely relaxed. Check the shape of your feet on the ground. They should look like that cartoon footprint. It has a couple of circles in the front for the toes. That's where your toe, keep breathing, where your toes connect. And then it has like this funny, it looks almost like a bean shape, so that the front, the ball of your foot is connected. And then it gets thin out here to the side, and then the whole heel is connected. The shape of that is like a half circle on the inside of the foot that's drawn up, that's not connected to the floor. So when you do if we talk about like a straw drawing in and drawing up through the center, those arches, that's the first place. If you were drawing a milkshake through a straw, you have to put a lot of suction, lift. The same thing, if you're making that internal movement going upwards, up the center, it starts at the base. It starts at the feet. By the way, this is while we're breathing, while we have time to talk, I talk a lot about feet, maybe more than any Tai Chi teacher I've ever heard talk about feet. And the reason for that is I don't have a foot fetish. The reason for that is I used to be really into motorcycles and motorcycling. And I used to take my motorcycles to the race course and drive around real fast. And what kind of motorcycle you have, and the kind of engine, the make and model, and how many parts you have connected to it, none of that stuff is nearly as important as the kind of tires that you have on your motorcycle, and if those tires are configured correctly, if they're set up with the right pressure. In the automotive world, they say your tires are the point of contact to the ground. So it doesn't matter if you have some type of supercar or vehicle that can go all types of off-road. If the tires aren't correct, it doesn't matter. If you put street tires on an off-road truck, you won't get very far. So I talk a lot about feet because I want you to understand your connection to the earth. Regardless of what body type you have or how much martial arts experience you have, having strong feet is applicable to everything that you do. On your own, at your own pace, do 2 more. Make it long, relaxed breathing. And when you finish with those, bring your feet back together in the center, going at your own pace. Take your time. breathing. Bring your hands together in the center. So we're going to use this posture to stretch this morning. So with the feet connected, let's make sure that it's correct before we start using it. Bring the head top up all the way to its highest point. Relax your brow and your head. In fact, do something right now. If you take your fingertips, just massage your scalp. Feel the skin. Imagine the last time you touched the skin on a baby's scalp. How soft it is. Or if you have a pet and you touch a lot of times dogs and cats are very relaxed. Does it feel like that, or does it feel like you're mashing weak, old dough? Does it feel stiff? Try to allow it to relax. If you wiggle your eyebrows and move your ears around, you'll feel you can move all of that skin. So when you relax your arms, put your shoulders back to the correct place, and then adjusting your posture, breathing, return to Tai Chi Harmony. So now, starting from the head top, push the crown all the way up. Imagine you can push through some of that stuff happening up there. Relax your brow, open your vision. You can wiggle your eyebrows up and down. See all the way 180. Don't let your vision be lazy and narrow. See the full spectrum. Open the corners of your nostrils so that your face relaxes, your sinuses can expand and filter more air going to the lungs. The tongue is connected to the upper palate. The mouth is closed and the corners of the mouth are activated. So there's just a small percentage of power being applied to the corners. You can connect that with the outside of the nose so that this whole side shape here is expanding. Relax your jaw. Push your ears back just a bit. Keep your chin tucked. The shoulders are sinking with gravity. They're sitting in the right place. The chest is hollow. And without any effort, we want to have space in the armpit. We don't want to try to change our how much tension or by moving anything, but instead by sinking the chest, expanding the back structurally. Use the center to support. Relax the tailbone. Expand the lower back. The insides of the hips are folded. The knees have a bend in them. We don't want them to be locked. So there's some type of bend. In fact, the correct bend is when you think about your tailbone, there's an arch shape back here that goes this way. Imagine the line that comes off of that connects to your toes. So make a connection. You'll feel your tailbone relax, and then you should also feel your toes grip. When your tailbone relaxes, actually I did something incorrect. You see that? And I slumped because I feel this sink. I want you to, when that sinks, I want you to keep the neck straight. So that will give you the vertical kind of stretch that we're looking for. Expand your ankles. So make your ankles flexed. And then activate the feet, like we said. See all the way through your body and feel the shape. See the shape of the cartoon footprint where your toes are connected to the ground. The mass of the ball of the foot, and then it gets thinner outside, and then the whole heel is connected. And then when you move your mind into your dantian, everything auto-calibrates. You'll find your body micro-adjusts. The hips do some changes. The shoulders do a little bit of an adjustment. Come back to the center. Relax. Stretch. Right. So now that we have that alignment, now that we have that thing, we're going to stretch. We're going to use this as one of the only stretches that we do today. So with the head top up, turning, I want you to imagine like you have something that's connected to the ground and you're just turning the top. So while this is happening, when you turn, I want you to first, because we're working on the foundation, protect your knees. As you turn, you'll start to feel a point where the tendons that go across the knee feel tight. Don't turn any more than that, below that point. But you can continue to turn the back, the upper back, the base of the neck itself, the head, and then inside the head turn the eye sockets, and past the eye sockets your intention, your chi is leading further, and then come back to the center. You can time this with the breathing, but you don't have to. I'm facing the other direction. So activate your feet, relax your tailbone, pull your head top up. Keep your chin tucked, keep everything vertically aligned. Your eyes lead further and your mind goes beyond. And then come back to the center. Again, if you do it with the breathing, time it out so when you're reaching your maximum stretch, you have your maximum inhale. Grip your feet, protect your knees. Let's talk about this one a little bit more. If you like to stretch but you feel like your knee is limiting you, you can turn the opposite knee. So what that means is when I turn this way, if I pivot on the toe, so that it's turning out. The standing leg, if I go to try to turn 180, my standing leg here is going to stay facing forward. This should be lined up. And the other leg, when it moves, I say pivot on the toe, but it's my hip, so that the leg is always, this is a Tai Chi idea. So now when I turn, this leg shouldn't turn at all, should be sitting back. And this other leg can turn to accommodate. My knee is actually going together to make sure that I don't twist this leg out. And then coming back to the center. And then the same thing on the other side. Lock this leg in an L shape, and then this is completely geometric, it's in line. It's like this, and then the other leg can turn a bit. So on your own, going back to Tai Chi Harmony, keep the space between the hands, and don't try to, because we're trying to actually stretch. Don't push past. Keep the hands in front of the sternum. Don't exaggerate by trying to push this way. Just turn the whole structure. So breathing deep, push the head top up, sink the tailbone and the feet down. Twist as far as you can and come back to the center. And then I'm turning. So relax your tailbone, like it's sinking, like it's going downwards. And then push your head top up. Imagine you want to wring out a towel or a rag, and so you want to twist it and stretch it at the same time. So we're doing the twisting, but be sure to get the stretch. And the stretch is in the spine. And then come back to the center. How do you feel? By the way, this is one that you can practice. It's one posture as long as you have your knees in the right place. So you can use this to open the back. Next, keep your feet shoulder width wide. We're going to turn around the center some. So with the head top up, relax your tailbone. Check to see all the other ideas we had just got done talking about. And here I'm only turning my midsection. So my face is going forward, my hips are pointing forward. I'm only turning, keep working around. There's some the waist is the soft tissue that goes between the top of the hips and the bottom of the ribs. So here, and then this section here is turning as well. So keep your center stable. Don't allow it to, there may be times when we have a change from side to side, but in this one, keep it stable, keep the center line. Relax your shoulders. Next, we're going to do just one stretch for the leg. And this is, by the way, this is not you don't need to do the balance on this. If you'd like to, please be careful. So one leg exercise, this one, where we stretch the back of the leg back here. So you can use something for balance if you need to. If you like to practice the stretch, you can. Push your tailbone back so that we have the back of the leg stretching. Try to keep your hips in line, because if you watch me from the front, I do this from the side a lot of times so that you can see this angle. But if you do this from the front, don't let your hips push out to the side this way. It's incorrect. Sit when I push my tailbone back, it goes directly back between the feet. Right. So this is basically a square step. I have one foot in one corner, one foot in the other. My tailbone goes straight back. Reach on your own breathing. And so make this is your stretch. You can fool me, I can't see, it's only a small gallery view on the Zoom, but for yourself, reach a little bit further, breathe a little bit deeper. Either push your head top forward or push your chin forward. Either way, your back is getting a good stretch. And then on your own, just push forward, step up, breathe. When you're ready, this is, again, your stretch, so stretch as much or as little as you like. I'm simply acting as a guide. Grip your feet, push your tailbone back and away. Reach forward. Make sure that you're not jutting either of your hips in either direction. Keep it centered. Push your toes upwards. Remember to breathe deep even when you're in a unique new position. And then push forward, head top up, bring your feet together. Take a deep breath. We're going to do that one more time on each side. So gripping the standing foot, push the other heel forward, push your tailbone straight back, and then extending your spine, relax the tailbone, reach. Try to let your legs relax. Breathing deep, push up, step through, move. We'll do one more on the other side, so grip the ground, push your tailbone back and away. Make everything lined up, make it accurate. You can use your standing leg to support or anything else. Stretch, flex your foot, pull it upwards. Feel what happens to the back of your leg as you change its angle. And then, while you're doing that, try to relax the back of your leg. You can use the breathing to assist. And then push up and forward. Let's continue doing some Tai Chi. Before we do, does anyone have questions, comments, thoughts on something that you're working on from your home practice? By the way, practice is vital. I know it's a lot of people say, I don't practice. And I can, like I said, I can stand here and be a guide and, do a song and dance, haha. But really, for you to make it your own, you need to have your own practice. Even 5 minutes a day is better than nothing. And I've heard it, I've seen it in a book. It says 5 minutes twice a day is better than an hour once a day. Is it true? I don't know. So, but the idea is that you should have a practice. So you should be practicing. Even if you don't know anything about the form that I teach, We have some basic things. This kind of standing, you can use this as a standing meditation. Just standing like this, even for a few minutes a day. In the beginning, standing like this for a few minutes may prove to be challenging, especially when keeping all the correct alignment, because your body has old patterns that are stored inside of it as far as its shape and its structure. So if you take your hand and you reach across your shoulder this way, and you feel how much tension is there, take the other hand, do the same. You feel a difference, right? And so this is coming from years of build-up. If this is what you can sense here, imagine, just like we did when we did the leg stretching exercise a minute ago, once we did the stretch, and then in addition to the stretch, you add the relaxation to it, you can feel your leg change in a very tangible way. And but then what happens is we stand up and we go right back to walking the old way that we walk, with our funny walk, and it tightens all those tendons right back up. So go back to relaxing your legs, your tailbone, your whole back, right? Your shoulders, all of that while you stand. Use the front to support. Okay, so you have to have your own practice. It's vital. Just take a few minutes every day. You can just do very simple, I need to get a new camera because the focus on this one. So even if we do something simple, pushing, right? The signature Tai Chi posture, hook, and single whip. Experiment with it, right? Is it hook and then whip? Do we do hook, step, whip? Is it hook, like whip this way? That's going to come out of a number of things, but if you don't have the practice, and there's a couple of sayings in the Chinese martial arts. Let's actually do something while we talk about them. One teacher said, miss a practice. It says if you miss one practice, it says you can tell if you skip one. If you have 2 practices, 2 or 3 practices a day, it says if you miss one, you can tell by the quality of your movement that you've missed a practice. It says if you miss 2 practices, your teacher can tell the quality of your movement is affected. There's another one that says if you miss 3 practices, the whole world can see the quality of your movement is affected. And so when I heard this, I thought, oh, okay, this is cool. It means practice a whole bunch, right? There's lots of writings about practice. And so I took it to, after I started studying with Master Zhao Yun and Grandmaster Su Zifang at Yishui, during one class, Master Yun was talking about practice, and I told him the same story I just told you, and he said, that's fascinating. He said, because I heard it like this. He said, if you miss one practice, go to the back of the class. If you miss 2 practice, go sit by the door. If you miss 3 practice, go outside the door. So different schools have different kind of strict teaching. I don't teach that, but all these sayings, these are all like Mandarin. They're koans, they're parables. They'd probably be written in some poetic way. I don't speak Mandarin. So the idea is meant that we're supposed to practice. You should have some practice on your own. If you're at least one time a day, take some time to focus on your structure, your breathing, and if you can get into some kind of movement. That said, let's practice Tai Chi. Does anyone have questions on something all of this talk about practice came out of from your own personal practice? Okay, so because if not, we're going to do the form. I'd like to buzz through all 3 sections. We'll go at sort of medium speed. So just hang in there, try to focus on, for people following that don't know quite as much, just hang in there, follow where you can, and where you can't, there's no reason to have any frustration, because if this was like a tour down the river, you can just sit back and watch. You don't have to do any work. So bring the feet together. Bring the head top up. Relax your shoulders, returning back to Tai Chi harmony. Activate the bottom of your feet and then push the crown all the way up to the highest point. Stepping, expand. The body becomes like an upside down L shape. Let power go all the way to the fingers, like unfurling, and then settling forward. Tai Chi, Chi Chi. Right. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Left, ward off. One continuous movement. Left, grasp the sparrow's tail. Right, ward off. Roll back. Press. Push. Look left. Glance right. Breathing deep. Schwan on. Double push. Horizontal split hands on facing west. Diao shows hook. Single whip. Turning back to the north. The arms relax into the half circles for Tiso. Sanshi, square step. Extend up. Turning 90 degrees to the west. This is crane, opening the wings. Play the harp, press to the center. Square step back. This is a repetition of crane. Right hand comes inside the left hand like a circle, and then opens the wings. Play the harp. Brush knee. Press to the center. From here, holding the moon in the chest, shifting back and brushing the knife edge of the hand up. Step forward and punch simultaneously while blocking. Balance shui. Corner. Parry. Punch. Turning. Rupon. Subi. Turning to the side. This is return tiger to mountain. Bring your feet together. While you turn, relax your tailbone. Keep your chin tucked. Step square to the corner. Palm pressed to the center. Breathe deep to roll back. Adjust your feet as accurately as you understand how. Starting from the hip, press. Long breathing for push. Look left. Glance right. Double press. Horizontal. Split. Hook. Turn back to look at the moon. Left hand blocks. Right hand covers. Left hand circles back through. Spear fist to the moon. Repulse the monkey. Press to the center. Breathing. The right side opens. The left side presses. Repulse the monkey number 3. Left side opens. Right side presses. This is called diagonal flying. Form a spiral with your palm bay, and then shoulder bump, expanding one continuous movement into needle at the bottom of the C, fan through back, turning, lock, punch, kick. I'm facing due east, square step, breathing. Lan is parry, punch, still head top up, facing forward, deep block, twist your whole body, Shang Pu, Li, change step, breathe deep, roll back, press, push, look left, glance right, double push, horizontal, split hands, hook, side whip. I'm facing north, east and west, go this way. This is cloud hands, turn and press. And then when we turn to the west, press and step. There's 3, that's 1, press, 2, of 2, number 3, hook, corner whip. I'm turning my square west. This is reach over the tall horse. Number 1, turning to the south. Tall horse 2, and then turning back to the east, breathing deep, brush knee press. Brush knee, C-step, press, and then brush knee, straight step, punch. Turning 180. This is Fengshen Piqian Shui. Block, punch, kick, square step, parry, punch, still facing west. This is Zhouhua, left deflect, sometimes called bend the bar. Da Li is big rollback. Keep your spine upright, turning, and then going the other direction. Da Li. The left foot steps behind the right foot. This is scoop the moon from the ocean, sometimes called the monk, searching for the moon in the sea. Kick, brush, 2 wings in the ears, step back, kick, turning, 1, 2, southwest, 3, pull right, kick right, turning back to the west, block, punch, kick, block, shui, breathing deep, groove on, press, press, turning to the north. This is return tiger to mountain. We're continuing to the 3rd section, bring your feet together. T-step or past kobu. Square step, palm press directly to the center. Breathe deep to roll back. Press. Push. double push, horizontal split hands. This is hook, side whip, wild horse, parting his mane. On the right, the right hand covers the left side, the left side comes through the center, wild horse, number 2, and then the reverse. The hand covers the side, the other hand comes up through the center, almost like a ward off. Breathing deep, roll back. Press. Push. Horizontal split. Remember to stay after your breathing. Hook. This is side whip. This is 4 corners. First corner, northeast press. Looking first, turning, step, second corner, northwest. Breathing deep. Close. Third corner, southwest. Press. Looking first, we're turning 270. Close the left foot. Step back with the right foot. Fourth corner, southeast. Now my power is going due east. Left grasp the sparrow's tail. Right press. It's actually off to the hip. And then when I step forward, G, breathing. On. Push. Look left. Glance right. Double press. Horizontal. Split. Hook, I'm facing north. This is a corner whip. So corner means I'm turning 90 degrees. And this is the first snake creeping down in the third section. And when we return here, golden rooster stands on one leg. Changing to the other side, grip your foot, relax your tailbone, golden rooster. Breathe deep. This is repulse the monkey, just like the second section. Press. Press. Scoop. Step. Press. Opening to the side. Diagonal flying is the same. We have shoulder bump and expansion. And needle at the bottom of the C is the left hand and the right foot. Doing the thing to here. Santon Bay is fan through back. Turning, block punch kick. This is almost identical to the second section. Square step, control the step, breathe deep, relax your spine, lan, shui. Facing forward, this is di beauvoir. Fold knees, change step, resume natural breathing to roll back. Press. Push. Look left, glance right. Check to see that you have a very stern expression, or at least a half smile is the minimum. Hook, side whip. This is cloud hands in the third section, so we turn and press. Press and step. press, step, and press. One more on each side. 3 of 3. Hook, corner whip, and continue the waist turn as you shift back. This is snake flashing his tongue. And then when we turn 180 facing the east, pull right, kick right, just like the second section. And then here we have something cross kick, step, brush, punch, facing forward. This is a half. Fold knees, change step, breathe deep, roll back. Press, push, look left, glance right, double press. We're almost there. Hang in there, breathing deep, turning 90 degrees, facing north. This is horizontal, split hands, hook, corner whip. So larger square for this because this is the second snake creeping down. And then when we turn back to the west, this is step up to 7 stars. I'm going to turn 90 degrees back to the north for Shuan Sen Hua Hu. Turning 180 for Bai Lian. Open bow to shoot a tiger. Breathe deep, we're there. Block, punch, kick, square step, parry, punch, turning around the center, Rufeng, press, press, turn back to the front. This is embrace tiger, return to mountain, blocking, unwind, right, left. Use the momentum to return back to Tai Chi Harmony. Let's go, while we're standing here, let's do a little bit of breathing. You can ask questions if you like, but remember, when you feel warm, you can take longer inhales. That means you can take in a lot more energy, more chi. And then getting rid of the old processed carbon dioxide quickly. This is, by the way, it's the same way the animals do it. We're not doing anything magical or unique. If you go to the polar region or you go to the tropics, animals using their breathing to control the body temperature. You can allow this to hit. I don't know what I'm doing. So breathing, press this up, inflating all the way, and then exhale. By the way, the Tao refers to this action like a bellows. You can actually, using your arms, allow it to open the ribs on either side. Imagine like an accordion that opens because we're pulling up this way. And then as you breathe, that also expands this here. And so it allows you to take in more air. And then when you close, everything just goes back to being relaxed. And in addition, you don't have to use as much power to breathe because that closing will force the air out of the lungs. So when it's hot outside, right, when it feels so warm, we want to take in the cool air. If it's cooler than 98 degrees, take in that air. And then let the other air that was circulating within us out as quickly as it can go. So think of your nose. Earlier we had talked about power sports, motorcycles and cars and this type of thing. And you can think of your nose like a radiator system, like a cooling system, where you can control flooding the radiator with cool air. And then think of the hot air going out as exhaust. You want to get rid of it as quickly as you can. We might do the reverse in the winter time when it's super cold, or if you have to travel to a location that's cold. And it's relative, by the way. Don't let anyone gatekeep temperature in Southern California. So this breathing, when it's cooler outside, if you allow the warmer air to filter over the nostrils, the sinuses, the throat, all of that in Chinese medicine is considered part of the same, considered part of the lung structure. By the way, we had mentioned that there's acupressure points in the corners of the mouth here. The same thing, the reason I ask you to activate the corners of your nostrils is if you take your pinky, if you have a fingernail in there, be careful, or use the fingernail itself, and feel there's a juncture where the top of the lip, the corner of the cheek, and the inside of the nostril connect. Find that point and just apply a little bit of pressure, like you're pushing in on that. If you try to talk while you're doing it, it may sound ridiculous. And then let it relax. And then the same thing, activate the corners of the mouth and make a connection to those points, breathing deep. Anyone have questions? Because the next thing that we're going to do is I want to work on, what did we work on last? We looked at press and push, right? So we saw roll back and ward off as one set of these things. We started looking at these trigrams. We're not going to do it today because we only have a few minutes left. And then the next two that we looked at were press and push. And the next two that we do is where it gets tricky because they kind of look the same almost, but they're flipped. So we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back. But those next two we can think of after we do ward off, roll back, press, push. We have look left, glance right is the next one. So that's the bottom two are locked. Just basically from here up, my focus needs to remain. Just the top part is just turning, right? My bottom part isn't really doing that much. It's just this turning here. The idea is if somebody's charging, right, they do a shoulder check. If there's a weight here, we have this in the second section with diagonal flying. There's my target, right? This kind of shoulder check, somebody likes to smack into you that way. We only need to turn this top part. In fact, we want to keep the root. This gets into some other more advanced sort of throwing, shui jiao, judo type stuff. But if we keep the feet locked and the tailbone locked and we're just turning this upper part, if the other person is checking us and they really want to use the shoulder check this way, you see their hip and their feet are moving. Their shoulder is yang, right? So imagine like I said, I don't want to get into it today because we just have a few minutes. But in the one, we have the bottom is locked and the top is moving this way. And in the other one, the bottom two are moving and the top is where the power is, right? So this is the shape for these if we overlaid them on the body. And some of you, I sent an email to that you got with the trigrams. That's what all of this is. So if you go back to look at that, you can refer to it. Go ahead.
Can you show the hands and when you shoot the bow and arrow?
Yeah, in the third section, Wong Soku is so after we do the lotus cake, right? We have this kind of cake, and trying to keep this thing from. It's set to autofocus, but it's not doing it. So after the cake, when we step, this is almost like hook. But instead of hook this way, the hand is opening to protect here, right? So it comes up. After we do the kick, this foot steps back. You can think of it as stepping into the square. It's not quite a square because of how we got into that position, but that's okay. And then this other hand turning here. So this. And you see my feet both pivoting. Whether you pivot on the balls of the feet, whether you pivot on the center of the feet, or whether you pivot on the heels, there's a couple different variances. That's not important. The turning is important. And so this hand comes up this way. And the other hand is also coming up. So just like in the beginning, we have grasp the sparrow's tail, left and right. So if I'm facing, I'll face the other direction so maybe it's more clear. After I do the sweep here and I step back, I have this hand going this way and this other hand coming up. So just like this. And then once they reach the top, they both level out. So this is, you can think of open the bow to shoot a tiger like this, like you're opening the bow and arrow to shoot the tiger. By the way, this is an extension of, in the second section, there's something in the Mandarin called Saint-Tombé. And depending on what dialect, this is like one of those things where if you say it one way, it sounds like fan through back. And if you say it another way, it sounds like fan through mountain. The idea is that Saint-Tombé connecting the hands, the fingertips, all the way through the back. So when we're doing this is one movement. As the power comes into one side for Saint-Tombé, it travels through the arm and extends back out the other side. So the last posture, the last custom posture, Wambo Suru, after the kick, we step back, and the same thing, the power that's coming in, my opponent's trying to punch me. And so as they're trying to give the punch, I just simply put that onto my track, right? This track connecting between these two hands. Except I'm going to add a little curve to the track. So as their power comes in this way, I'm absorbing and I'm allowing my structure just enough tensile strength to send that shockwave, that punch through this arm to come back out at them this way. So this is, and to do that, if you just relax your arms, right, like this, right? Imagine you're doing the twist. Okay, it's 9:30 if you're on a schedule. If it's time, it's time. But imagine, any of you that have done any skiing, rudimentary skiing, right? It's twisting. I'm turning from my hips. I'm not just turning my leg. That's dangerous for your knee. Turn the whole leg. So after the lotus kick, after I kick here, when I step back, this power change is all like this. And this is like an advanced concept. I don't want to go too much into this, A, because we're out of time, and B, because we should already have been exploring this type of full body clipping power when we do needle at the bottom of the sea, and we're here. And I want to use one hand to free the other hand. So I use it, right, my whole turning around my spine, the Saint-Tombé, these two sides of the scissors, these two sides of the clippers, and then the same pulling apart here. So when we do full knees down, dibouhua, after the punch, we assume someone has grabbed or connected to our wrist. So we simply sink and bring their whole structure with them. And if they still haven't disconnected at that point, guess what? We use the same kind of cross-body ripping power, right? And when you do that, you're using a tool to attack the weak spots on their limb. So it doesn't really, we're using technique, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's an animal or person that you have to fight. It doesn't matter what they're doing, it doesn't matter what equipment they're bringing to it. You have to understand how to use yours. So we'll go into this one more later. But the movement is turning around the center this way. It is one of the few times when we're turning our square and the power doesn't match the direction. So this is kind of unique. It's one of the reasons it's one of the last things it's taught here is because we take our square, if I'm facing roughly to the south, and then when I catch the block, my square is facing west this way. So after the kick, catch, turn. And so You route their power through the whole body like a full spindle. Something like this. We have this in the second section when we do this kind of thing, and then some of this movement. It's time. Let's do just a little bit of breathing. Allow your feet to touch. Bring your head top up. Relax your shoulders. Bring your hands together in the center. And then, just like in the beginning, do a calibration. Check the head top is up. Relax the skin on the top of your head. Relax your brow. Open your vision. Open your nostrils sideways. Open your sinuses. Connect the corners of the mouth. Tongue is pressing to the upper palate. Chin is tucked. Shoulders are sitting in the right place. Extend the back of your neck upwards. And then make that connection between the top of the neck and the tailbone sinking. Chest is hollow. We're not pushing forward. It's hollow, but the neck is straight. The center is supporting, tailbone is relaxed. Activate your feet, relax your legs. Grip your toes, and then move all of that into one place in the center in the dantian. Your body naturally adjusts. Eyes open or closed, either way, put your focus in the dantian, breathing into the dantian. Take a second internally to smile at yourself. You can take a deep breath. And then internally, looking at yourself while you're smiling at yourself, take a second to have some gratitude, a gratitude practice, starting with yourself, to yourself, for yourself, with yourself, and then expanding outwards from there for anything else. Take one long, last, deep breath. And that's it. It's a little bit past the time, so I'm going to go. If you have questions, comments, feel free to email, call, write.